Oh, yep, it's that time. We have the one and only Meylssa Ford in the building. Meylssa, go ahead and press that mic so we can start the conversation with you right now. And guys, if you have any questions for her or you want to talk live, just you can put the questions in the chat or press that request to come on and you can have a conversation with us towards the end of the show. Meylssa Ford, are you there?
Hi.
Meylssa Ford, guys, hit the heart emoji for Meylssa Ford one time for the one time. How's it going, man?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine, doing fine. Thank you for being here with me today. I just have to say that I definitely was excited when I had the opportunity to bring you onto the platform because I definitely have followed your whole journey and I really appreciate what you stand for. So thank you for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me. I really appreciate that.
I want to give an opportunity to introduce yourself to some people. Now, depending on what age or where in the spectrum you may have grown up, you may or may not came across Meylssa Ford. So I would love for you to take this opportunity just to give us a glimpse of your life, who you are, and just take us up to where you are right now.
Okay. Well, for, I guess, 70s and 80s babies and even some 90s, they would know me. They would know the start of my career from music videos and modeling. I transitioned from doing that and ended up doing TV hosting. I was on-air talent for BET, Stars in Black, bigger TV shows being The Game and Entourage. And a couple of cult classic movies. One is called Love for Sale, that's played all the time on BET. And another movie starring Megan Good called Video Girl, and a bunch of others. I 3 Can Play That Game. I'm trying to go through my IMDb page in my head. But I also was on the radio as well, Sirius, and now I podcast. And I'm a syndicated radio show host with iHeart. So I'm on Hollywood Unlocked Uncensored, the podcast, and Hollywood Unlocked with Jason Lee, the radio show syndicated around the country. And I have my own podcast called I'm Here for the Food. And that is my baby. And I love it. And I am so proud of it. And it is literally like me walk for the first time ever in my entire life. I feel like I'm walking in my purpose.
Definitely. I just want to kind of highlight some points in your, I guess you can say, in your career, right? I came across you for the first time during the Big Pimp and Jay-Z era, right? I would like to say that you definitely was of the higher caliber of models, video vixens, video models. We're just going to just call you a model at this point, right?
Thank you.
Yes, during that phase. Now, I don't know if people recall models. The way the girls were portrayed in the TV and the music videos back then is totally different from how they are portrayed now. And I remember you did was it VH1 or I can't remember. You did like a documentary or a interview talking about how at one point you saw the transition. And you was like, nah, that wasn't for me. Like, can you talk to us a little bit about why you thought it was an integral point in your life to be like, nah, I need to phase out?
Well, I mean, with everything, I think that you have to be cognizant of, when it's no longer your time, when you need to phase yourself out and you need to grow. So you have to understand when to take the exit ramp on something that's just, you don't want people to phase you out. Like in TV shows, some TV shows end right when they're supposed to end. And if they drag it on, it's called jumping the shark. You stayed too long. The storylines became, like just implausible. People lost interest. It became a parody and a joke. And I never wanted that kind of thing to happen to my career. Plus, I had bigger ambitions. I wasn't one to kind of stay complacent. And so when it came to music videos, I felt like I'd pretty much done everything that I could do there. And then modeling, I created product with my image all over it. I sold everything from like mouse pads and car air fresheners to calendars. I was on the covers of magazines, and I was like, I just had loftier goals for myself, and that was to become a television host. And BET was really the first network to really actually give me a chance to show people that I wasn't just a silent, mini movie star in these music videos, that I could actually, walk, talk, and chew gum all at the same time. And that, I had a personality and I had talent, and they were the first ones to really give me that opportunity to showcase that to the world. And that led to, other TV hosting opportunities with Stars in Black, with ESPN, because I was a big sports fan. So that was like a dream come true. But you have to evolve in every aspect of your life, both personally and professionally. And I was transitioning out of music videos when things were changing very drastically. Like piracy was a big issue. What we now know and take for granted as downloading music, at one point it was illegal. And so the music industry was just like hemorrhaging money because they no longer had control of their product. And what it was doing was, it was the first thing that was taking a hit was music video budgets.
Yeah, because I remember you said at one point, sorry, I mean to interrupt, but because I remember you said in an interview at one point you was getting like $10,000, or you was getting big time money to where they was trying to get people peanuts. Like what?
Yeah, I mean, they could afford to pay me, $5,000 and $10,000 a day because, the budgets were like, I mean, Knock Yourself Out was 650,000. Jay-Z's Big Pimpin' was 1 million. Usher's video, was 350,000. Like, these videos could afford to have a lead girl who was a real model casted. And so when the video budgets decreased, like I swear, video budgets decreased from like 300,000 to 30,000. You couldn't afford me anymore.
That's right.
So what they ended up doing was they ended up filling all the slots with real models who were casted by agencies with strippers. And that's not a knock to strippers, but there was just it just changed, and it changed the aesthetic of what videos look like. And then also, BET had a show called BET Uncut.
Yeah.
So that ushered in the area of stripper culture. The music changed as well. And so stripper culture became porn culture. And none of this was part of my repertoire. It was not. So by that point, I had taken the exit ramp, and I was already on TV. I was already on BET's network. And so, but unfortunately, for some reason, I took the exit ramp, but the stamp got put on me. I was like, well, wait, hold on 1 second here. I'm not responsible for what everybody else does. But I guess I had been such a foundational part of the lasting impression of what music videos were, that it became my cross to bear. And then when Superhead's book came out, well, that just pretty much was the nail in every. I, or now Director X, we came from Toronto, so we were all friends. Yeah. So it wasn't this tawdry like massive orgy taking place. I cannot speak for what happened after I exited stage left. I cannot speak on it. I wasn't there. But what I know about the time I was in music videos, it was great. It was really great. And it's, nothing that any of us are ashamed of.
One more question, then I'm going to move on. Right. We all, even today, we hear about colorism in entertainment and media and things like that. Did you ever feel that when, during your time in music videos and things like that?
Well, no, because I'm light skinned.
Right.
I mean, that's debatable. Some people are like, Melissa, you wish you were light skinned. I'm like, okay, well, I don't have a paper bag. If that's the how we judge it, for crying out loud. But I'm of a lighter complected hue. And so I didn't experience that. So, I mean, I noticed that the darker complected girls that were, used for music videos, they were my girlfriend's Director X, doing his music videos. And he loves chocolate girls. Yeah. Loves them. So it was very easy for him to make a decision to put a chocolate girl in the starring role of any of his music videos. So even though I'd heard and, kind of gathered that was what was happening, I never experienced it myself. But I mean, I know that it did exist. It wasn't like, it wasn't really right in front of my face. And for the most, and all, I was always casted by the directors. I didn't have to go through a process. It was like, hey, Melissa, can you do the lead in this video? Yeah. So that was always my experience. I was always really kind of removed from the mess, you know? So
Understand.
that, yeah.
That's pretty much what it is. Okay. So you exited out of that world and now you're entering into the TV platform, right? You had your stint with hosting with BET and doing those things, which I think you did a very good job. How was you nervous going into the TV hosting? How did you feel once you was entering into that new realm?
I was not, I had faith in myself. I was very driven and determined and motivated. And I had a lot of support from the network. Stephen Hill, who was the VP of programming at the time, he was extremely supportive. Big Tigger was instrumental in making sure that the network really, really gave me a shot. And he's still one of my closest friends to this day. And so they really worked with me. I was not media trained when I started with them. And that was just something, that was a service that they paid for to make me get acclimated with TV hosting and to stop talking in my high register voice and, you know, just learn the tricks and the trade of, you know, being comfortable in front of the camera. And as time went on, I became a lot better, and I started to have a lot more faith in my abilities because they continued to trust me. So I would say that was a really great time in my life. I call it being like a frontline soldier, because I really was like a soldier in the trenches. You know, there was no teleprompter a lot of the time when I was out in the field. I had to, like, you know, think very, very, very quickly, you know, just off the cuff. You just have to be creative. And sometimes you don't really know who it is that you're interviewing, you know, and you didn't have the time to research. So you got to find something to talk about, you know, like immediately. And so those kinds of things really teach you to be on your toes at all times.
Definitely. And definitely talk about on your toes. I mean, more eyeballs were on you. More people were starting to know your name. I mean, we those who followed you and yes, saw you in the videos and things like that. Then when you got on TV, now we've seen your personality, and now we're getting a little bit more into your business. And then enters your relationship with Flo Rida, right? I don't want to go into your relationship with Flo Rida, but what I want to say is, being that type of tier celebrity, right, or personality on that level, right? Do you regret making any of your relationships public?
Well, Flo was pretty much the only relationship that became that was public. He was really like the only person that people could say without a doubt that I was dating or dated, because I didn't walk red carpets with anybody else that I dated. I kept my private life extraordinarily private because I didn't want my fame or notoriety or recognition to be on the back of any man. Right. I was not going to be introduced as anybody's girlfriend. That was not why people were going to pay attention to me. It was going to be off of, you know, my accomplishments, my merit, and, you know, the things that I worked towards. And so that was one of the main reasons why I kept any relationship I had with anybody private. And also, you know, you serve up so much of yourself to the public when it comes to this business that I had to keep something for myself.
Yeah.
And my private life, if you serve it up on a platter, well, then you got to take what you get with that. And that is people inserting themselves in your business.
Okay, so now we're getting a little bit more notoriety, but at some point, and correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of went a little quiet, right? And then the next time we see you, you're on Bravo TV, right? Bravo TV's Blood, Sweat, and Heels. I've actually talked about this on my station because you and I first came across on season 2 of Bravo TV's Blood, Sweat, and Heels. I don't know if you recall, but I was the publicist for Chantel Frazier. So
okay, okay, yeah,
the British lady. So I was the one.
I remember Chantal. Yep.
No, you guys had some interesting exchange, but how did that come across in regards to you being casted to be on Bravo TV on network television?
Well, in terms of my absence, I just kind of lost my footing in the business in terms of what I wanted to do. I think that everybody kind of goes through that, where they kind of go through a little bit of a professional existential crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, and after the writer's strike here in LA in 2008, and then that huge, crash, market crash, and then the bailout, and then there was a pending SAG strike. We were all worse for wear. 2008 and 2009 were just very, very, very difficult years. And then it took a lot. It took a little bit of time for us to recover from that collectively as, a society. And in that span of time, work had dried up. It was so few. My projects were so few and far between that I don't think that I was the only one going through a moment of reckoning, a lengthy moment of reckoning as to like, what am I going to do with my life? Because what I'm doing right now is just not paying the bills. Even when you would book a job, it would be a fraction of what they would have paid you years before. And so, I started to think like a survivalist. Like, what am I going to do? Maybe at the entertainment business, I might have to put this on a power hold for a second. And so I thought, what can I do with this Rolodex that I have accumulated over the course of 12, 13 years at the time? And that would be, I decided real estate was it. So I went to real estate school. I got myself an agency that wanted to hire me. And then Bravo came knocking with this reality show. And unbeknownst to me, they'd been casting it for a year. But I had been traveling all over the world for a year with Flo. So I didn't even know about this reality show. I didn't know about the casting. I didn't know anything. And I guess, with the 5 cast members that they had at the time, Bravo was like, if this is supposed to be the Black Sex in the City, where's Samantha? She's not here. So you all have to find her before this show gets greenlit. And so when I got the casting notice from Left Field Productions, I knew exactly what they wanted. I knew that people have this, one-dimensional idea as to who I am. And that is, a sex symbol and whatnot. And I'm okay with that. It does get a little bit exhausting when you feel like you've proven that you have more dimension to your, professional repertoire, like to who you are as a person. Both in this instance, I took advantage of the fact that that's what they thought about me. I showed up in a cheetah print dress with my, tatas up to my chin and red lipstick and big hair. And I was the character that they thought that they wanted. But I knew what I was going to do. That was not that's not me for real. So once I got the gig, I pared it all the way down. My first year of real estate, I transacted more than $2 million in real estate, which is pretty freaking great. So by the time second season rolled around, I was adept at real estate. I had gotten much better. I had gotten more clients, and I'd moved on to a bigger firm called Douglas Elliman. And I had the pleasure of meeting Frederick Eklund, who I put that into the universe. I manifested meeting him because I thought, imagine I could end up, double dipping in this Bravo pool by being on Blood, Sweat, and Heels, and then also being on $1 million listing as a part of Frederick's team. And he and I met, and I told him that was my dream, and he loved the idea. And he was like, I'll be on your show, you be on my show. And so that was what was happening. It was all going according to plan.
Me personally, I have a personal question for you. Okay, this wasn't part of my question there, but I have a personal question. So moving forward into Blood, Sweat, and Heels. Okay, we had second season, right? Now there was a part. There comes to a part in second season where you and another castmate were just not seeing eye to eye, right? And for those of you who don't know, you can get it on Amazon Prime if you want to watch the full, the full second season, right? But you and another cast.
Is it really there?
Yes, I bought the whole season. It's there.
Oh, for crying out loud. Okay.
Well, but you understand why I bought it, because
I know. I totally understand, and I know what the question is. I know where you're going with this. So let me just say this.
Yes.
First season had myself and five cast members, and we had two showrunners. One by the name of Rashid J. Daniels, and the other one, her name was Tess Gamboa. And they're basically the EPs, the executive producers of the show.
Yeah.
And I loved them. I
recall hearing about them. Yeah.
They earned our trust. You know, and that is a very intimate relationship that you develop with your EPs and showrunners on these reality shows, because you trust that they're going to tell your story in an accurate manner. You know what I mean? And so I trusted them a lot when I was having difficulties. They listened to me, and I'm still friends with them to this day. I think that the biggest mistake that Bravo and Left Field made was replacing them. I never knew why they were replaced. They shouldn't have been, because we broke the rating ceiling with our first episode. We were the highest rated premiere in Bravo's history.
Yes, it was.
So and then all of our episodes, you know, had like at least, you know, we had very, very high ratings, and we went up against award show season. So if it ain't broke, why fix it? I never could figure out why they did that. It was probably a saving money thing, but it was the worst decision that they ever made. So they bring in two new showrunners who we don't trust them. We don't know them. And so the show second season was delayed because the main showrunner was working on Beverly Hills Housewives. And well, like, how do you go from doing Beverly Hills Housewives to a show about single, you know, women of color living in New York City? I mean, our nuances are completely freaking different. Yeah. And he was an older white gay man. What do you know about the life of a black woman? What do you know? He didn't know shit. He didn't know Nan, okay? And it was obvious. And there is no love lost between me and this dude. So anyways, as far as I'm concerned, they ran the show into the ground second season, pushing for drama. And the drama that they think, that the drama that people expect from an ensemble cast of black women is combat. And that pisses me off, because this is a show that was supposed to be the antithesis of every other reality show out there that had an ensemble cast of women of color. Yeah. We were supposed to be the show that depicted women who know how to solve conflict without combat and can do so in a dignified, intelligent manner. Yeah, we could be shady to each other all day, but no one should be throwing hands.
And I want to say something. I totally understand how you feel, because coming from, now, I wasn't a main cast member. I was just an offshoot, basically, right? I was on the background doing things, right? When it got to the point where it came to the party that we did for Chantel, I did for Chantel, and we put that together, right? The way that so let me tell you what happened, right? I'll make this real short so we can get past this, okay? Let me tell you what happened, okay? So they wanted to have a sit down meeting with with the boat people and things like that to kind of figure out what's going on. Fine. So once the time for the show day, right? The party happens, X, Y, and Z, blah, 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 right? So they kept saying, Carlotta, where's the VIP for the girls? Where's the VIP for the girls? And I was like, it's sitting right over there, because it was like near Ashley Stewart and the whole people, blah, blah, blah. And they said, okay, at this time, we need you to take Chantel up to the upper level so you can do the golden ticket. It was the next level where we was having the performances. So they kept pushing me to make sure that I got Chantel away from that area and bring her up. At that point, I didn't understand what's going on. But listen, I had 1,200 people on the boat. I was trying to figure out what's going on around the whole show. So I was like, whatever, do it. That's like, Carlotta, it's about to rain. We need to get Chantel up the steps. I was like, okay, fine, right? So I was like, Chantel, production said we need to get you upstairs. Like, we need to go upstairs and start the show. So we get upstairs and start the show, the whole situation. Next thing I know, somebody comes upstairs to tell me, Carlotta, you need to come downstairs right now. And I was like, why? What's going on? And then one of my ex-PR buddies was like, Carlotta, this is such an amazing show. And such an amazing party. I was like, why? And then I looked over, there was no one sitting at the couch, right? And I'll go, why? He goes, oh, did you not see those two girls? They were just fighting. I was like, what are you talking about? Meylssa, I have to tell you something. If I'd have known that was going to go down or whatever, I would have stepped in the middle of that and stopped that, because that was ridiculous and crazy.
I mean, look at Love and Hip Hop. That is so produced. That shit looks like a movie, like a music video all the time. So people have a very difficult time thinking, oh, that's just for storyline. No,
this was not fake.
This was not fake. This was not storyline. There's no way in hell I would ever sign up to do something like this if that was going to be the end result. And here's the other thing. Like, I had been telling the crew and production that I was uncomfortable with that cast member since first season.
Yeah.
I kept warning them that she was 2 sandwiches short of a picnic, and that she was gunning for me, and that she was going to try to hurt me. I kept trying to tell them this, and they did not listen to me. And I have never stopped feeling like I was set up.
Right. I see where you're coming from that.
So, yeah. And so, like, I ended up in the hospital after that. Who would sign up for that? There was nothing fake about that. But you want to know what happens is, from the outside looking in, when a prosecutor gets handed the case,
yeah,
what does she see? She sees 2 black chicks on a reality show in a fight. That's what she sees. She can't tell the difference between one person attacked another and this had nothing to do with the show. No one could separate that. It was awful. It was awful. And I paid a heavy price for all of that. It continued past that moment for me, because everything went away. My job went away.
Yeah.
My relationship with Frederick went away.
Yeah.
Everything went away.
Yeah.
Everything went away. So why would I have signed up for something like that? It was just awful. And then I refused to talk about it. I refused to say anything. And you, as a publicist, I stayed quiet.
Yeah.
But she kept on yapping.
Yeah, she did. I know. It's like,
people ask me, like, do you regret doing the show? I'm like, I don't regret making the choice. I have regrets as to the fact that people just did not listen to me and did not realize just how unhinged this person was.
Yeah. I said so I'm going to say this and now I'm going to move on, but I said my piece about the same individual, because for me, I worked really, really hard. And I think I bumped into you at Tahiri's launch party that she had during that time. I forgot what was having. I think this was you was out of the hospital by that time. Tahiri had a party, and I think I come and told you for someone who worked really damn hard to make sure that I did everything I need to do, 1, for my client, and 2, to make sure that the outcome looked the way the production said it needed to be. To have somebody to come in there and act a total ass, I was highly irritated. And I told Chantel, I said, Chantel, is this girl for real? Like, this can't be real life. This cannot be your friend. And Chantel was like, you don't understand. She's trying to be nice and sympathetic. Like, I can't have empathy for this girl. You just have to hope for these white people's establishment.
And besides that, like, for a person who kept on claiming to be, educated with 2 different degrees, and she traveled abroad, and she wrote for all of these reputable media outlets. How do you act like that? How is that your instinct to pick up a bottle and smash it against somebody's head?
Yes.
That's not my first instinct, honey, because I carry myself like a dignified woman, because I am a dignified woman, and I don't got to tell people that I am a dignified woman, because that's just what I am. So, I don't understand how that was her first, like, attack me with your mouth, call me all kinds of names or read me like Phaedra. I don't care. But how dare you not just put your hands on me. You picked up a
Bottle.
a magnum of vodka. Who does that? That is the most ghetto ever.
Yeah.
Okay. Where are we? You know what I mean? So it just, I don't know. It just, the whole thing just amazed me. How people reacted amazed me. What happened with the production company and Bravo amazed me.
And
wow.
You guys were totally cheated of a wonderful experience. They didn't even do because of the whole situation. There was like, we're cutting production, we're cutting reunion, we don't need to do anything because now we have, at that point, that was the start of Real Housewives of Potomac. They go, we have Potomac, so there's no need for us to do anything with Blood, Sweat, and Heels. That was the reasoning that they gave us.
That's their doing. You know what I mean? Like, how irresponsible of them, you know what I mean, to like put together a show. And we had a devoted, loyal audience.
Yes, you did.
You know what I mean? From especially first season, I feel like a lot of women, single women who took the road less traveled, and pursued a career over getting married and having children. I think with this show, for the first time, they felt seen and they felt respected.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so for the show to go in the direction that it did, what a disappointment. Like, yeah. What a disappointment. Shameful. Everybody involved needs to be ashamed of themselves. Everybody involved in trying to make that happen, force the violence, should be ashamed of themselves and I hope that a lot of people, and I do know that a couple of people that were involved in the production really had to take a long, hard look at themselves after that and think about how they wanted to move forward in their careers and what they wanted to participate in.
Yeah, one of them I know for sure was like, yeah. He told him and I saw each other at Penn Station, and I go, "Are you still working with Left Field?" He goes, "Nah, I had to move on to something else." And he was like, "It just did something to my spirit," he said, and he goes, so he had to go in another direction. I totally understand, but moving on from that was just a personal question I had, but thank you for opening up. So that was an experience that you went through. I don't want to get too much into the other tragic experience that you went through. You had a very bad car accident. You speak about this a little bit, and this is during your Hollywood Unlocked, which I have to say you do very well. You can hold a candle with Jason Lee, and
Thank
not
you.
many people can, but you guys really mesh very well. Talk to us about, not so much about the accident, but the recovery phase and how you came through.
Well, I've been very, transparent about the difficulties that I went through during recovery, just because, I had a traumatic brain injury, and, it was a long, hard, dark road. And it's so funny that most of my recovery coincided with fall and winter, because that's exactly what it felt like. It felt like I was going through a phase of winter. It was dark. It was cold. It was lonely. It was isolating. And then when I finally emerged, it was technically spring, both in my life and physically spring. When I felt well enough to return to the show, Jason really wanted me to come back because the audience was very clear that seat belonged to me. He tried a couple of other people out, and
it just didn't work.
People were just like, they were like, yeah, no, we need Meylssa back. We want Meylssa back.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So, that felt really, really good. And so,
and you was well received when you came back.
Yeah, it was really great. It gave me the boost in confidence that I needed, because I was still struggling mentally with just recovery, a brain injury. People are like, well, when's it going to be over? I'm like, never. It's like your brain it's I don't know. Like I still have difficulties. There's some days where I have to stay quiet and to myself and give and not think too much not, and I have to eat specific foods. I have to take specific supplements, and I have to do specific kinds of holistic therapy in order to right myself. I suffer from vertigo. I suffer, like, sometimes I see things. It's really strange. I don't even know how to explain it without sounding crazy.
Yeah.
And then there's other times where I struggle with cognitive issues and speech, which is very strange for me, because when that is one of your identifiers, like your level of intelligence and your level of articulation, when you lose that or you don't have a firm grip on it, you're kind of like, well, who am I without this thing?
So you've been doing your thing with Hollywood Unlocked for a bit, and now you have your own podcast that you launched called I'm Here for the Food.
Mm-hmm.
I like to hear more about that. And then also you slightly mentioned about a book too. Can you talk about those two things? Because I like how you're transitioning.
Yeah. Well, the book just seems like I've been thinking about writing a book for over 10 years, but it just never seemed like the right time. Like, have I lived enough life to write a book, And so after the accident and recovering from the accident, that seemed like the moment. Like, okay, yep, I got quite a bit of things that have happened to me underneath my belt, and I a lot of things that I can talk about. And the book in itself is just going to be very anecdotal. It's going to give examples of experiences that I've gone through, both triumphant and tragic, and how I handled them at the time and what hindsight has taught me. And just kind of like I wrap everything up in a bow as to how you can apply things that have happened in my life to your life. And maybe somebody, gets a glimmer of hope, because they're feeling suicidal. And when I talk about my feelings of, the depression that I've gone through and the suicidal feelings that I've had, maybe then I give them strength to keep on going, so that's the whole purpose of the book. And the podcast, which is called I'm Here for the Food, I was always so paranoid as to whether or not like people were going to receive it and be like, well, what's the title? Is it about cooking and what's going on? And I'm like, no, it's I'm here for the food for thought, food for the soul. But the title comes from my dating life, because a lot of times if the date was whack, at least I was there for the food.
Yes, ma'am.
So as a woman, it's like a running joke that we've got, like, girl, the date sucked, but you know what? He took me to Mastro's and I got steak and shrimp for leftovers for tomorrow's lunch, so it's a funny thing. And so I just turned, this fixed given, this truth that has been a long-standing truth in my life. And I just kind of made it, my brand, and what I hope is going to be my little media empire.
Yeah.
So I'm in constant, I'm constantly thinking about expansion of the brand, but I started off with the podcast, and it's going exceptionally well. Like it's my baby, and I introduced it to the world, and the world told me my baby's pretty, and I'm so pleased.
Yes.
But I'm just so pleased that so many women are getting things out of the conversations that we're having. I'm doing what the show on Bravo could not do. Mm-hmm. I'm showing that women can get together, can have genuine love for each other, and we can also disagree and have conflict, but we do not have to be combative about it. That is what I feel is my purpose here, because I'm just tired of the stereotype. And I'm not going to do anything to perpetuate it. I'm going to do things that are going to break it apart. And that's what I hope that my show does.
I love that. Guys, thank you for being here. Don't forget, you can follow me on my social platforms at I Am Carlotta's Corner on Instagram. You can also follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube at Carlotta's Corner to see what's going on. And other than that, I love you guys. Thank you for supporting me. I'll see you next time. Good night.